Hello friends. Today I am doing the Try a Chapter book challenge tag. Basically I spent the entire day reorganizing my entire shelves, not the ones behind me that you have seen in a previous video, the big shelf. And I think it was somewhat successful. However, there is 2 stacks of books here that I'm basically ready to give the chop unless I read the first chapter and it intrigues me. So I'm going to go through the books with you now and read one chapter. So the first one we have is The Best Laid Plans, something about a girl who's a virgin and she meets this guy, but she doesn't want to put him off with how little experience she has. Next I have Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. I am so not into YA books anymore, so this is really last chance for YA. Then we've got Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I actually had the entire trilogy, but they're taking up so much space. So I'm just going to read the first chapter of this and see if I even like his writing style. Basically set in a world where people don't die naturally anymore, like that all those problems have been solved. So you have these characters called Scythes whose job it is to basically kill people to maintain population control. We've got Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl. I only bought this because I read Night Film, and apparently this is a really good YA mystery surrealist kind of book. The How and the Why by Cynthia Hand. I think it might be a mother-daughter story. I think it's similar to Regretting You by Coho. I Miss You When I Blink. This is a collection of essays by, I believe it's a psychologist. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's just a writer. Who's to know? Then we have Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. I was actually going to unhaul this book and my bestie Sarah told me give it a chance, and if I don't like it she will happily take it because she's read it and she loved it. Then we have a Reese's book club pick. We went over here. I've heard not good things about this book, so this is its last chance. Hostage by Claire McIntosh. I've read one Claire McIntosh and hated it, so we'll see. I've heard that this is meant to be amazing. We'll see. Same thing with Shari Lapena. I've read one book by her that I didn't enjoy, so this is her last chance on my shelves. We've got Eggshell Skull by Brie Lee. This is a non-fiction. I think it might be about rape culture in Australia, so I'm interested, but I've just had it for too long. We've got Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian. A typical thriller about something happening when a woman's at university and she goes back, possibly. Oh no, it's happening while she's actually at university, and it's got clinical studies. Interesting. I'm going to read one chapter of all these books and I'll update you as we go. Okay, so I read the first chapter of Neverworld Wake. It was 14 pages and it has basically set up that our main character Bee's boyfriend died a year ago and she's convinced that her group of friends had something to do with it. And when one of them invites her to a party at this mansion, she agrees to go not to reconnect with these friends, but basically to find out what's happened to her boyfriend. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to unhaul this. It is not to my taste at all. The sentences run on. The descriptions of things. There is a full 2-page description about what our main character does at her parents' cafe. 2 full pages listing everything she does. It's a bit not my style. So yeah, I'm sure this would interest someone. Like, it sounds intriguing, like she knows her friends had something to do with it. It's interesting, but there are so many other books I would prefer to read, so this is going to be unhauled. Okay, so I've read the first chapter from Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett, which was 15 pages. This is setting up our main character Zori. She is a stickler for rules, likes everything by the book, and a new family has moved in next door to her parents' clinic and they own a sex shop. And the chapter ends with her basically going next door to pick up a package that's been delivered there accidentally. I'm kind of intrigued. I would like to see what happens, but this is a book where the main girl Zori and I think I'm going to assume the guy whose family bought the sex shop, they end up going on a camping trip and getting lost in the wilderness together, and I can already tell that is going to bore the ever-living shit out of me. So while I didn't dislike this, I also don't know if I want to read it, and it's also for a YA. Over 400 pages. So this is also going to get unhauled. Chapter 1 of We Were Never Here was 11 pages. This sets up two friends who catch up once a year in some exotic country. This year they're in Chile and they're basically hanging out and vibing. And our main character, Emily, I didn't even know her name until now. Something's happened to her, something traumatic. So she's very anxious, she's very tightly wound. Her best friend Kristen is like loud and brash and is definitely the protector of the two. I know this book is about Kristen saying she had no choice but to kill someone and the two of them covering it up together. It just didn't hook me. It really didn't give me enough to go on. So again, this is also going to be unhauled. I'm actually very inclined to unhaul all of these books. So if there's a couple that I end up keeping, that's great. But I'm kind of ready to say goodbye to most of these unless something extraordinary happens in the first chapter. So I Miss You When I Blink. First chapter was 8 pages. And this is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought, well, first of all, I didn't actually realize this is an uncorrected proof that I definitely purchased from a secondhand store, which is illegal. This is not the book I thought it was going to be. This is just based on the first chapter. It is, like I said before, a series of essays, and I think it's going to be all about finding your true self and being true to yourself and believing in yourself. And I don't need preachy energy in my life. I'm sure for some people this book is exactly what they need, but I'm so sure of myself as a person that this is going to do absolutely nothing for me. I can already tell. So another one to go into the unhaul pile. This is the one book I was so sure that I was going to unhaul. This is the first book I'm going to keep. First chapter is very intriguing. We're following a woman named Mina, and she has a daughter and a husband slash ex-husband. They have a rocky relationship, and the chapter has just ended on a cliffhanger, which I love. That'll get me every time. Basically, Mina is about to go on a flight from London to Sydney, and she's going to be gone for 5 days, and she's told her husband it's for work. She lied. She lied. Something sus is going on. I don't know why, but this book is going to stay. Hey pals, it is a brand new day. I am showered, my clothes are in the washing machine, I have my Diet Coke. Let's get into this. I have added a couple more books since last night, which you'll see at some point in this video. So let's continue. Scythe by Neal Shusterman was a 24-page first chapter. I loved it. This is another one. I was almost not even going to read the first chapter. I was going to be like, goodbye. I did own the entire trilogy at some point, and I decided that I was going to just hold on to the first one to see if I liked it enough to keep it. And holy crap, it was a good first chapter. I'm intrigued. I'm going to keep it for now. So next we have Thornhill. This book doesn't have chapters. It's part graphic novel, part diary entries. So I read 57 pages. It was super quick to get through. This book would be amazing for someone younger. It's not for me. It looks like we've got a girl named Ellie who's moved into a house, I think just across the way from Thornhill, which used to be an orphanage, and we've got diary entries from the 80s following a girl named Mary who can't speak and who is bullied at the orphanage. This just isn't for me. I don't remember why I even purchased this book, but like, it's very beautiful. Just not for me. So this one will be going. Okay. Next we have got Eggshell Skull by Bree Lee. This book follows a woman, Bree Lee, so this is autobiographical, and it follows her basically through the justice system in Australia. So she starts as a policeman's daughter and eventually goes to law school, etc., until she moves her way up the judicial system. Judicial system. So I read the prologue and the first chapter, which came up to 11 pages. Well, the first chapter was 11 pages plus the prologue, which didn't have page numbers. This sounds interesting. My biggest issue that I'm already seeing is that it is a very, I don't want to say preachy. She's obviously very biased in what she's saying about certain things. I'm not going to get into why, because I can't be bothered. But she, is a very, very preachy in certain things. And B, there is already so much legal jargon that I don't understand and that hasn't fully been explained. And that scares me. So I think that this would be an interesting movie or documentary, but as far as book goes, I am going to unhaul this one as well. Once again, guys, this is a book I thought I was going to unhaul. Apparently, I'm going to keep this one. We are following a bunch of 2 or 3 different cars full of people that are all making their way to Mitchell's Inn. And we've met 4 characters so far. One of them has the car's got off the road into a ditch and they've just been saved. There are going to be more characters we're introduced to, and it is very much giving me John Mars vibes of following so many different characters. The only thing I don't love about this right now is that it's told in present tense, which is strange. There's not many books written in present tense these days, so I'm going to keep this one for now. We'll see. The How and the Why by Cynthia Hand. It's a vibe. I'm sorry. I wanted to keep reading past the first chapter. I am very intrigued by this. I think our main character, whose name I've already forgotten, Cass, I think is going to be a very level-headed character. And I think she's going to try and discover more about her birth mom, and we're going to get a really interesting story. This one is Staying. Shit. Hey, Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kerlin. The first chapter was 17 pages. I'm keeping this one. I am intrigued. We are following our main character, Chloe, as she settles into her first day of university. And she's talking about how she's in this psychology experiment with 6 other students. It's very, very high secret. No one knows what's happening. None of her professors know. It's just her and these 6 participants. She's talking about meeting her roommates and everyone else in her dorm. And she ends the chapter by basically saying that the reason she is doing all of this is to kill someone. Going to this specific university, joining the psychological program experiment, the way she's socializing with everyone in her dorm and trying to make herself really popular and trustworthy. All of this whole thing is to kill a guy named Will. What has he done? We will eventually find out. Hey, so next we have The Best Laid Plans by Cameron Lund. This book is going straight into my donation pile. It's following a girl named Keely. It's her 18th birthday. She's the last person in the friendship group who's still a virgin, and apparently this is a big deal. I don't think I will enjoy this book. Like, the writing style is fine, the plot could be fine. I just don't really like books anymore. I should preface this by saying I used to be okay with these kinds of books, but now in my ripe old age of 28, I don't think losing your virginity is enough substance for a plot, and I don't think it's usually done in a way that I agree with or appreciate. So this book is getting donated. This is one I didn't mention previously, so it's called Don't Tell a Soul by Kirsten Miller. So I read the first chapter, which was 17 pages. We're following a girl named Bram as she makes her way to her uncle's house, a big house on a hill. And apparently this is a ghosty book, and her first night there, she wakes up in the middle of the night to her bedroom door being open, and she thinks that there's something out there, something's watching her, something's waiting for her. And again, I'm sure that as, like, for a YA audience, this book would be a great ghost story. As a 28-year-old who has moved on to adult horror, I don't think this is the book for me. This one is getting on hold. The one I didn't tell you guys about is Call for the Summer by Dahlia Adler. This book is following a girl named, who knows, Larissa. Larissa spent her summer bonding with this girl named Jasmine. I think things have happened. I think they were, like, together, dating, whatever they were doing. Haven't gotten into the past just yet. And Larissa comes back to school at the start of the year and sees her crush, Chase. I think his name is Chase. And they're chatting and they're flirting. And then Jasmine walks into her school. So it's definitely going to be a girl from the summer or current high school crush. And it's not a vibe for me. I'm sure, again, someone else will love this book. I might sell this one. We'll see how we go. Next we have The Girls Are Never Gone. This book follows our main character Dare, and she's going to stay at this supposedly haunted house for the summer to see if she can find the ghost of a girl who drowned in the lake like 30 years before. And again, I think this would be great for someone younger who has maybe less experience with ghost books and horror books, but as someone who reads that sort of stuff all the time, I just don't think this is going to hit the spot. I will say this does have a podcast element to it that I think some people will enjoy, but it is not for me. Okay, so next, and I think the last one for this video is You Must Not Miss by Katrina Lenner. I've had this book on my shelves for a couple of years now, and so far we are following a character named Magpie, and basically she's just going through how her life used to be and how it is now. She used to have her mother and her father together, and she had a best friend, and now her mum is an alcoholic and her dad doesn't live with them because he cheated on the mother, and Magpie is trying to avoid her ex-best friend. And I don't know what it is about this book or Katrina Leno's writing, but this book is staying. I am so excited to read this. It doesn't have chapters. Well, it does, but there's only 10 chapters in the entire book, so they're quite long. So I only read the first 10 pages, but I could easily just sit here and finish the entire book if I wanted to, or if I could. I've got other plans today, but this one is going to stay. So I think I've probably had a pretty even mix. I think I've actually unhauled more books than I'm keeping. So I just counted. So I'm keeping 7 books, but I'm getting rid of 13, which I think is pretty good for me. I'm a little bit tired of just reading the first chapter of a book. Like, it's a little bit exhausting. I'm kind of getting over it. So I will do this challenge at some point in the future. I don't know if it's called a challenge. I don't know what it is. I will do it again in the future because there are so many other books on my shelves that I'm not 100% sure of. There's a couple of shelves I didn't really like clean out yesterday. So I will definitely do this type of video again in the future, but I think for now I just need to get into a book and commit to it and finish it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this throwing together video.